So you read Rob Wolf's book, The Paleo Solution, and you want to know if this diet is right for you. I would like to start by explaining what the diet is, what you can expect to eat on this diet, and why I would not recommend that you eat this way. The Paleo diet is not based on science or archaeology. Or archaeological evidence. Mr. Wolf is a fitness trainer who was mentored by Dr. Cordain, who is an exercise physiologist. And that is why you're seeing lots of emphasis on exercise in this book. Mr. Wolf claims that scientists got it all wrong, and doctors and nutritionists are giving you the wrong advice by recommending that you eat whole grain and legumes. He claims that our ancestors roamed the earth 10,000 years ago, hunting animals and gathering vegetables and berries, and enjoyed good health and physical harmony. He attributes today's chronic illnesses to the fact that our eating habits are out of sync with our inherited biology. There are many problems with this reasoning, which we'll cover later. But for now, let's look at the diet itself and get a clear picture of what you would eat every day on this diet. The Paleo diet is a version of the low carbohydrate diet with a few more restrictions. It is composed of lean cuts of meat, chicken, fish, beef, some seeds, nuts, fruits, and vegetables. The diet bans dairy, legumes, grains, starchy foods such as potatoes, corn, sweet potatoes. Sugar and salt is also out, and so is processed food. So there is some good thing there, is the removal of processed food and dairy from the diet, and the excess salt, of course. Now, I would have a hard time imagining an Italian or a French on the Paleo diet. How does this translate to your everyday life? Well, it means no peanut butter, because peanuts are legumes, no mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving, no apple pie, sorbets, or any desserts, or any treat that is made of any type of flour. Bagels, bread, hummus, all these foods that we associate with healthy eating are off the menu. Rice and beans are a staple in some cultures, are also banned on the banned list. So no cookies, no cakes. It's pretty strict. Now let's look at the recipes provided by Mr. Wolf in the Paleo Solution book. On page 241, we have shredded cabbage and tuna drizzled with sesame oil. This is not a dish that will make people salivate. Raw cabbage needs to be seasoned and broken down either by marinating or cooking to make it soft enough to eat and easy to digest. The combination of cabbage and tuna does not produce a dish that you would call delicious, but it is just assembled ingredients. Another recipe he calls horrid consists of salmon, lard, Brussels sprouts, and to his credit, he does acknowledge that this is far from being a gourmet dish. If you cook and enjoy good food, you can see the flaw in this way of eating. It is not designed for taste and pleasure. The Paleo cookbook misses one important fact. People don't eat for nutrition and health or to become bodybuilders necessarily. They eat when food tastes good. Any diet that cannot meet this criteria is bound to fail because humans eat with all their senses. Food has to look good and taste good. As you can see, the diet can become repetitive and difficult to maintain over time, as you will eventually crave carbohydrates, desserts, and some familiar foods that you are accustomed to and people around you will be eating, particularly at celebrations. As a matter of fact, the diet is so plain that Mr. Wolf ignores his own admonitions and provides recipes with soy sauce and sweet potatoes. Soy sauce is basically liquid salt. 1 tablespoon of soy sauce is 950 milligrams of sodium. The difference between a regular potato and a sweet potato is 3 grams of carbohydrates. Now, for the real problem with the Paleo diet, it is potentially harmful in a modern environment. The high consumption of saturated fat in eggs, sausage, and other meats can present a risk of heart disease. Meats you find on the market today are much higher in fat even when the animal is grass-fed. This is because animals like chicken and beef and pigs are sedentary animals, and they do accumulate a good amount of fat in their tissues because we bred them that way. Cost of the grass-fed meat is also prohibitive to some people, and they will resort to eating the meat that is grown on grain, grown in factory farms, and it has much more fat in it and is less healthful. Another recipe in the book calls for 6-egg omelet. That is 21,000 milligrams of fat and 651 milligrams of cholesterol. The 2010 Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends a daily limit of cholesterol of 300 milligrams or less. Just with this one breakfast, you have doubled that amount. In summary, the Paleo diet, as pictured in Rob Wolf's book, is not a healthful diet due to high consumption of protein and fats. The recipes do not taste good, so you will not eat this way for a long time. It is marketed to the general public, but with all the emphasis on exercise and the pictures of athletes in the book, one can easily see that the diet is more suited for young athletes who engage regularly in vigorous exercise. Finally, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that Mr. Wolf has some misconceptions about the Paleolithic era. There is no frozen time in history when man has reached harmony and decided to stop there. Evolution is continuous, so it is futile to select a slice of time in history and live according to that, to be in sync with that biological state. Our biology has evolved over those thousands of centuries, and modern man's physiology is not necessarily the same as the Paleo man's. Another important fact ignored by Mr. Wolf is the geographical diversity. Paleo man in Antarctica had a different diet than a Paleo man in Asia or Africa. The Paleo diet's removal of starch and legumes is another fact that is not backed by archaeology. They have actually discovered that more than 30,000 years ago, Neanderthal populations ate both grains and legumes. This was evidenced by the starch found on their dental calculus, in the dental calculus of the skeletons. The logic of the Paleo diet is flawed in several ways. First, by idolizing one particular period of history without attention to geographical diversity. Second, by claiming that we are biologically identical to our Paleo ancestors. And finally, by denying the benefits of modern agriculture. While the Paleo diet is not backed by science, there is sound scientific evidence that a diet rich in whole grains, legumes, fruits and vegetables with small amounts of meat is the healthiest way to live and reduce chronic illness. If you want to eat healthy and maintain adequate weight, my advice is to enjoy whole food meals composed of unrefined grain, fresh fruits, vegetables, legumes, and occasional small amounts of meat. Aside from providing all the necessary nutrients, such a diet is flexible, portable, and easy to implement. I wish you good health.